Chosen one, listen carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is not meant for the curious, the distracted, or those who only speak God's name when it is convenient. This message is only for those who are truly walking the divine path. If you feel something pulling you to stay, that is not accidental. This reached you at the exact moment your spirit was ready to hear it. Not early, not late, perfect timing. There is an instruction God gives to his chosen ones that most people never notice. There are certain words he has warned you never to say. Not because he wants to silence you, but because those words quietly weaken your authority. They drain your peace. They delay what heaven has already approved. Many chosen ones speak these words without realizing they are stepping out of alignment. Today, I am going to reveal what God has been cautioning his chosen ones about. This warning is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to protect you. What you learn today will help you guard your spirit, your future, and your calling. So, before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this instruction. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are aligned, obedient, and ready to walk carefully with God. Stay with me until the end. What you hear will change how you speak forever. Why words hold spiritual power for the chosen one. Before I tell you what God has instructed you never to say, you must first understand why your words matter more than you realize. This is where many people misunderstand their own spiritual weight. They think words are just expressions, just sounds, just habits formed by emotion. But for those who are chosen, words are never just words. They are carriers. They are agreements. They are spiritual signals. I want you to hear this calmly, without fear. Ordinary people can speak carelessly and still move forward. Chosen ones cannot. Not because God is harsh with you, but because he has entrusted you with authority. And authority always comes with responsibility. When God places his hand on someone's life, he also places a guard over their mouth, not to control them, but to protect them. From the very beginning, God revealed the power of speech. Creation itself responded to spoken instruction. Not action first, not effort first. The voice came before the manifestation. This is not symbolic. This is spiritual law. Words shape environments. Words set direction. Words either agree with God or quietly resist him. Now listen closely. When God calls someone chosen, their spirit becomes sensitive. Their words carry weight because their alignment carries weight. You may not feel powerful. You may not feel ready. But the spiritual realm recognizes what God has marked. That is why certain delays happen after careless speech. That is why peace leaves after certain phrases are spoken. That is why you feel drained after saying things that sounded normal to others. You are not imagining it. You are not overthinking. You are responding to spiritual feedback. Many chosen ones grow up learning to speak from emotion. They speak frustration when they are tired. They speak doubt when they feel overwhelmed. They speak limitation when they feel pressure. And for a while, nothing seems to happen. But over time, they notice patterns. Momentum slows, confidence weakens, clarity fades. And they don't understand why, because they are still praying, still believing, still trying. What they don't realize is that prayer and speech must agree. Faith and language must walk together. You cannot pray one thing and constantly speak another. Heaven listens to both. And for chosen ones, spoken language often reveals the true state of alignment faster than prayer does. Let me say this gently. God listens to your prayers, but your life often responds to your words. This is why God begins to correct speech before he expands purpose, before he increases influence, before he opens doors that cannot be closed again. Because once authority increases, careless words become dangerous. Not to others, to you. This is also why the enemy pays close attention to what chosen ones say. Not because the enemy has power over you, but because he looks for permission. Words give permission. Agreement gives access. Silence removes leverage. When you speak against yourself, you do not realize you are handing away spiritual ground that God already secured for you. Chosen one, humility is not self-destruction. God never asked you to shrink your voice. He asked you to align it. There is a difference between being meek and being verbally powerless. Meekness is strength under control. Weak speech is strength leaking away. Many chosen ones confuse honesty with alignment. They think that because something feels true emotionally, it must be safe to say spiritually. That is not always the case. Feelings change. Alignment anchors. God is more concerned with where your words are leading you than with how accurate they sound in the moment. You see, words are not only expressions of belief. They are rehearsals of destiny. What you repeatedly say trains your mind, your spirit, and your expectation. Over time, your inner world begins to follow the language you allow. Peace follows certain words. Anxiety follows others. Confidence grows where language is disciplined. Confusion grows where speech is loose. This is why chosen ones often feel convicted after saying certain things, even when others laugh and move on. That conviction is not condemnation. It is sensitivity. It is evidence that your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency. You are being trained, not punished. God does not demand perfection from your mouth. He demands awareness. Awareness of what aligns with Him and what quietly contradicts Him. Awareness of which words strengthen your spirit and which ones exhaust it. Awareness of when to speak and when silence is the higher form of faith. Here is something many chosen ones need to hear. Silence is not weakness. Silence is often obedience. There are seasons when God asks you to stop explaining, stop reacting, stop announcing, not because you are wrong, but because He is working in ways that do not require your commentary. When you speak too much, you interfere. When you speak carelessly, you delay. When you speak wisely, you accelerate. This is why some of you feel God gently pulling your tongue back lately. You feel an inner pause before speaking, a hesitation, a restraint. That is not fear, that is training. God is teaching you to listen before you declare, to align before you respond, to speak from authority instead of emotion. And I want you to understand this clearly. The fact that God is correcting your speech is a sign that your next season is close. He does not refine mouths that will not be trusted with influence. He does not guard words that will not shape outcomes. He does not discipline language without purpose ahead. Chosen one, your words matter because you matter. Your voice carries weight because God has placed weight on your life. This is not about being perfect. This is about being protected. Now that you understand why words carry such power for the chosen, you are ready to hear what God has been warning you never to say. And as we move forward, I want you calm, open, and assured. This instruction is not here to silence you. It is here to strengthen you. Stay with me. What comes next will bring clarity you have been missing. The first category of words. God warns you never to speak. Chosen one, now that you understand why your words carry spiritual weight, it is time to address the first category of words God has been quietly warning His chosen ones never to speak. These words often sound harmless. They even sound honest. Many people speak them casually, without a second thought. But for you, they carry consequences you were never meant to bear. This first category is made up of words that cancel you. These are the words you speak against yourself when you are tired, overwhelmed, disappointed, or discouraged. They are the sentences you release in moments of emotional honesty, not realizing that honesty without alignment can become self-sabotage. God never asked you to lie about how you feel, but He also never asked you to declare defeat over your own life. Let me say this clearly and calmly. God never agrees with words that erase the value of what He created. When you say things that diminish yourself, your strength, your future, or your calling, you are not being humble. You are unknowingly contradicting God's design. And for chosen ones, contradiction does not go unnoticed. Many of you have said these words quietly, sometimes even jokingly. You said them to release pressure, to cope, to explain how heavy things feel. But those words did not leave you lighter. They left you drained. They left you confused. They left you feeling smaller than you were before you spoke. That was not coincidence. That was spiritual feedback. Chosen one, God is not offended by your weakness. He is attentive to your agreement. When you repeatedly speak words that define yourself as incapable, behind, broken, forgotten, or failing, you are not just describing a feeling. You are training your spirit to accept a lower posture than God assigned. And over time, those words begin to shape how you expect life to respond to you. This is why God says, "Do not curse what I have blessed." And yes, you can curse something without hatred. You can curse something through resignation, through hopeless language, through casual surrender. Many chosen ones say things like they are done, tired of trying, tired of believing, tired of waiting. They think they are just venting. But heaven hears consistency, not sarcasm. Repetition carries agreement. Agreement carries direction. I want you to hear this gently. God knows when you are tired. He knows when you are frustrated. He knows when you feel weak. But He never asks you to define yourself by those moments. There is a difference between acknowledging weakness and declaring identity. You are allowed to say you are tired. You are not meant to say you are finished. You are allowed to say something feels heavy. You are not meant to say you cannot carry it. You are allowed to say you need rest. You are not meant to say you are incapable. Chosen one, words of self-negation are not humility. They are agreements with limitation, and limitation is never God's language for His chosen. This is where many people misunderstand God's patience. They think because nothing immediately collapses after they speak these words, it must be fine. But spiritual erosion is slow. It works quietly. Peace fades first. Confidence weakens next. Discernment dulls after that. And eventually, momentum slows. Then they wonder why progress feels harder than it should. It is not because God left. It is because language drifted. Let me tell you something important. The enemy does not need to attack a chosen one who speaks against themselves. He simply waits. Words already open the door. That is why God corrects this category first. Not public speech, not how you talk to others, but how you talk about yourself when no one is listening. Chosen one, you must stop rehearsing defeat with your mouth. Your spirit listens to you. Your mind follows what you repeatedly say. Your nervous system responds to the language you allow. This is not mystical. This is how God designed you. Words are instructions to the inner world. When you constantly say you are behind, your body lives rushed. When you say you are failing, your confidence collapses. When you say you are stuck, your creativity shuts down. And then you pray for peace while feeding anxiety through language. That inner conflict is exhausting. God never designed you to fight yourself. This is why He says life and death are carried in the tongue. Not only physical death, but emotional death, vision death, momentum death, hope death. Chosen one, hear this truth and let it settle slowly. Your words should never make your spirit feel unsafe inside your own body. If after speaking you feel heavier, smaller, more anxious, more defeated, that is not release. That is warning. God is teaching you to recognize how certain words affect your inner alignment. Now listen carefully. This does not mean you pretend everything is fine. God does not want false positivity. He wants truthful alignment. There is a way to acknowledge struggle without stripping yourself of strength. There is a way to be honest without agreeing with defeat. For example, instead of declaring that you cannot handle something, alignment says you are learning to handle it. Instead of declaring that you are always failing, Alignment says you are being refined. Instead of declaring that nothing ever works out, alignment says you trust God's process even when you do not understand it. Do you see the difference? The feeling may be the same. The agreement is not. Chosen one, God listens for alignment, not perfection. Many of you were taught to be hard on yourselves. You learned that self-criticism meant responsibility, but spiritual responsibility is different. God does not motivate through shame. He motivates through truth. And the truth is that He does not make mistakes when He chooses. When you speak against yourself, you are not being realistic. You are being forgetful. Forgetful of who called you. Forgetful of who marked you. Forgetful of who is walking with you. And I want to say this clearly because some of you need to hear it. God is more patient with your silence than with your self-attack. If you do not know what to say, silence is safer than speaking against yourself. Silence keeps alignment intact. Silence allows God to speak without interference. Silence preserves strength until clarity returns. Chosen one, this first category of words is not about what others hear. It is about what you hear from yourself. God is calling you to become a safe place for your own spirit, to stop using your mouth as a weapon against your own calling. As we continue, I want you to remain calm. There is no condemnation here, only correction that leads to peace. God does not bring this instruction to shame you. He brings it to free you. Now that you recognize this first category, you are ready to understand the next one. The words that do not cancel you, but quietly delay what God has already set in motion. Stay with me. What comes next will explain delays you have been questioning for a long time. The second category, words that invite spiritual delay. Chosen one, this next category of words is more subtle than the first. These words do not openly attack you. They do not sound negative at first. In fact, many of them sound reasonable, mature, even justified, but they carry a quiet consequence that many chosen ones struggle with for years without understanding why progress feels slow. These are the words that invite delay. Let me say this gently, so your spirit does not resist it. God is never late. But chosen ones can slow themselves down. Spiritual delay is rarely punishment. Most of the time, it is misalignment in language. You see, there are words that do not cancel your destiny, but they keep it waiting. They pause momentum. They stretch seasons longer than necessary. And because nothing collapses immediately, chosen ones assume everything is fine. But inside, something feels stalled. These words usually come from impatience, comparison, and emotional exhaustion. They sound like questions, complaints, and explanations. They come out when you are tired of waiting, tired of being misunderstood, tired of watching others move ahead while you feel unseen. God understands those feelings. He truly does. But He does not want you to build a lifestyle of speaking from them. Chosen one, heaven moves fastest when your words agree with timing, not emotion. Many chosen ones speak delay into their lives without realizing it. They talk about how long something has taken. They repeat how hard the process feels. They remind themselves and others how nothing seems to be changing. They explain their frustration in detail, thinking clarity will bring relief. But explanation is not alignment. Every time you rehearse how long you have been waiting, you reinforce waiting as identity. Every time you repeat how slow things feel, you teach your spirit to expect slowness. Over time, delay becomes familiar, comfortable, expected, and expectation is powerful. Let me tell you something important. God does not respond to urgency the way humans do. He responds to alignment. When you constantly speak impatience, you are not speeding God up. You are revealing inner resistance to the process that is forming you. And formation cannot be rushed without damage. Chosen one, the process is not happening to waste your time. It is happening to strengthen your foundation. And your words either cooperate with that strengthening or quietly fight against it. Another form of delay-inviting speech comes through comparison. When chosen ones speak about where others are, what others have, how fast others moved, They unknowingly step out of their own lane. Comparison language pulls your focus away from obedience and into evaluation, and evaluation slows movement. God never asked you to monitor timelines that were not assigned to you. When you say things like others are ahead, others were chosen faster, others have it easier, you are not just observing. You are mentally shifting away from trust. And trust is the fuel of divine acceleration. Chosen one, what God is building in you cannot be compared to what He is building in someone else. Your timing is customized. Your preparation is precise. Your release is intentional. Comparison disrupts that precision. There is also a category of delay-inviting words that come from constant explanation. Chosen ones often feel misunderstood. They feel the need to justify their choices, to explain their silence, to defend their obedience, to clarify their boundaries. And while explanation feels harmless, it drains spiritual momentum. God never asked you to explain what He instructed. When you over-explain, you dilute authority. Authority does not convince, it stands. The more you feel the need to explain, the more you pull yourself into human approval instead of divine alignment. Chosen one, silence often moves things forward faster than explanation ever could. This is difficult for many of you because you have good hearts. You want to be understood. You want peace. You want harmony. But peace does not come from being understood by everyone. It comes from being aligned with God. There are also words of exhaustion that invite delay. Statements that sound like honesty but actually anchor weariness. Repeatedly declaring how drained you are, how tired you feel, how much you cannot keep going does not create rest. It creates identity around fatigue. God offers rest. But rest is not activated by speaking collapse. It is activated by surrender. Chosen one, rest comes when you stop narrating exhaustion and start trusting God to sustain you without commentary. Let me be very clear here. Acknowledging tiredness is not wrong. Living in tired language is. When your mouth constantly speaks weariness, your spirit never gets permission to rise. Instead of resting, you remain stuck in a loop of recovery without renewal. God wants to renew you, not just help you survive. This category of words often leaves chosen ones feeling stuck in long seasons. They pray, they believe, they remain faithful, but something feels delayed, and they assume it is just how life is. But many times it is how language has shaped expectation. Chosen one, God is patient with growth, but He is precise with alignment. Your words are either pulling you forward into trust or anchoring you in frustration. They are either reinforcing patience or strengthening impatience. They are either honoring timing or resisting it. And here is something very important I want you to hear. Delay does not mean denial. Delay means preparation is still working. When you speak as if delay is failure, you begin to resent the very season that is shaping you. And resentment slows everything. Gratitude accelerates. Trust stabilizes. Silence preserves strength. This is why God often asks chosen ones to speak less during transition. Not because there is nothing happening, but because too much commentary interferes with formation. Chosen one, if you feel like your life has been in a waiting season longer than expected, examine your language gently. Not with guilt, with awareness. Ask yourself what you have been rehearsing with your mouth. Waiting or trust. Frustration or patience. Explanation or obedience. God is not withholding, He is aligning. This category of words does not bring destruction, it brings stagnation. And stagnation is exhausting for chosen ones, because you were designed to move, to grow, to expand. The good news is this: the moment language shifts, momentum often follows. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to rush. You simply need to stop speaking against timing. Stop narrating frustration. Stop explaining what God never asked you to justify. Chosen one, your season is moving, even when you cannot see it. Do not slow it down with words that anchor you to impatience. Now that you understand the words that invite delay, you are ready to hear about the next category. These words do not cancel you. They do not delay you. But they quietly give away authority you were meant to keep. Stay with me. What comes next will change how you carry yourself forever. The third category, words that give authority away. Chosen one. This next category is one of the most dangerous, not because it sounds wrong, but because it sounds polite, reasonable, even spiritual on the surface. These are not angry words. They are not negative words. They are submissive words spoken where God never asked you to submit. And over time, they quietly strip authority from your life. These are the words that give your power away. Let me say this calmly because I do not want resistance to rise in you. God did not choose you to be loud, but He also did not choose you to be verbally small. Many chosen ones were raised to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, to smooth tension, to explain themselves so others feel comfortable. And while humility is godly, self-erasure is not. There is a difference between peace and permission. And too many chosen ones confuse the two. Authority does not announce itself, but it also does not apologize for existing. One of the most common ways chosen ones give authority away is through unnecessary apologies. Apologizing for boundaries, apologizing for obedience, apologizing for growth, apologizing for saying no, apologizing for choosing peace, apologizing for following God instead of people. Chosen one, if God instructed you, you do not need permission from anyone else. Every time you apologize for something God ordained, you subconsciously lower your spiritual posture. You train yourself to believe you are wrong for standing where God placed you. And over time, that posture becomes your default. Another way authority leaks is through over-explaining. Chosen ones often feel misunderstood, so they try to clarify. They explain their silence. They explain their choices. They explain their direction. They explain their absence. They explain their boundaries. But let me tell you something important. Explanation is not required when obedience is clear. When you explain too much, you invite debate. When you invite debate, you surrender authority. God never debates His will. He declares it, and sometimes silence is the declaration. Chosen one, people who need explanations are rarely seeking understanding. They are seeking control. And the moment you start explaining God's instruction, you shift from alignment to defense. Defense drains energy. Alignment preserves it. There is also authority leakage in people-pleasing language, words spoken to keep others comfortable at the expense of your own peace. Agreeing verbally when your spirit disagrees. Softening truth so others are not challenged. Shrinking language so others are not threatened. God never asked you to make everyone comfortable. He asked you to be faithful. Chosen one, discomfort is not sin. Disobedience is. When you constantly adjust your language to avoid tension, you train yourself to prioritize approval over alignment. And approval is unstable. It changes. It demands. It drains. Alignment steadies you. It grounds you. It protects you. Let me say this very clearly. Chosen ones do not lose authority through opposition. They lose it through unnecessary concession. Another subtle way authority is given away is through verbal self-disqualification in front of others. Saying things that downplay your role, minimizing your calling, shrinking your influence so others feel superior, laughing off what God entrusted to you. This often comes from fear of pride. But fear of pride should never lead to denial of calling. God knows how to humble who He promotes. You do not need to do His job for Him. Chosen one, humility is obedience, not invisibility. There is also authority leakage through asking permission where God already gave instruction, seeking approval for decisions God already confirmed, looking for reassurance from people who are not assigned to your destiny. God speaks clearly. Confusion often enters when you seek confirmation from too many voices. Every time you ask permission unnecessarily, you reinforce doubt. You teach your spirit to wait for human validation instead of divine assurance. Over time, confidence weakens, discernment dulls, and decisions feel heavier than they should. Chosen one, God does not guide through committee. Another area where authority leaks is emotional oversharing, saying too much, revealing too quickly, explaining pain to people who cannot steward it, giving access to those who have not earned trust. Not everyone deserves your story. Not everyone can handle your process. Authority is protected through discretion. Silence is often the guardrail of destiny. When you speak too openly, too often, too quickly, you expose what God is still shaping. Chosen one, privacy is not secrecy. It is wisdom. Let me pause here and say something important. This section is not about becoming cold, distant, or prideful. It is about becoming anchored. God wants you to speak with calm certainty, not nervous justification. He wants you to move without announcing every step. He wants you to stand without explaining every reason. Authority is quiet confidence rooted in alignment. If you constantly feel drained after conversations, examine your language. Ask yourself where you are apologizing unnecessarily, where you are explaining too much, where you are shrinking your truth, where you are giving emotional access too freely. God never intended your words to exhaust you. Chosen one, authority is preserved when your words are intentional, when you speak only what aligns, when you stop filling silence with explanation, when you let your actions speak where words are unnecessary. Here is a truth many chosen ones struggle with. You do not owe everyone clarity. You owe God obedience, and obedience often looks like restraint. When Jesus was questioned, he did not always answer. When accused, he did not always defend. When misunderstood, he did not rush to clarify. Silence was not weakness. It was authority under control. Chosen one, you are allowed to say less. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to let people misunderstand you while God understands you fully. Authority does not prove itself. It stands and lets God confirm it. As we move forward, I want you to release guilt. You are not wrong for how you learned to survive. But God is inviting you to lead now, not just endure. He is teaching you to guard your mouth, not because you are powerless, but because you are powerful. And when authority is restored in your language, something shifts. Conversations change. Boundaries strengthen. Peace increases. Confidence stabilizes. You stop feeling the need to defend what God is clearly handling. Now that you recognize the words that give authority away, you are ready to understand something deeper. Why God is correcting your speech now, not before, not later, now. Stay with me. What comes next will bring relief to questions you have been carrying quietly. Why God is correcting your speech now. Chosen one, I want you to slow your thoughts here and listen with peace. This correction you are sensing right now is not random. It is not delayed. And it is certainly not punishment. God does not correct speech casually. He corrects it intentionally, and he does it when something important is close. The reason God is correcting your words now is because your next season requires a different level of spiritual precision. Earlier seasons allowed room for emotional speech. Earlier stages tolerated learning through mistakes. But where you are headed, words carry consequences faster. And God, in his mercy, prepares you before exposure, not after damage. This is something many chosen ones misunderstand. They think correction means they did something wrong. But spiritual correction often means you are being trusted with more. God does not refine mouths that will not speak into impact. You are entering a phase where what you say will influence more than just you. It will shape environments. It will affect others. It will establish tone, direction, and atmosphere. And before God allows that kind of reach, he ensures the vessel is disciplined. Chosen one, promotion always comes with refinement. Think about this calmly. God never corrects speech in people who are staying small. He allows loose language in those whose words do not carry weight. But when your life begins to matter beyond survival, God begins to pay attention to how you speak. That is not restriction. That is preparation. Many of you have felt this shift recently. You feel convicted more quickly after speaking. You feel unsettled after saying certain things you once said easily. You feel an inner pause before responding, a check in your spirit, a sense of restraint. That is not anxiety. That is alignment training. God is teaching you to listen inwardly before you speak outwardly. He is sharpening discernment. He is slowing your tongue so your spirit can lead. Chosen one, speech correction always precedes expansion. Before God opens doors, he seals mouths. Before he elevates platforms, he disciplines language. Before he increases influence, he refines tone. Because influence magnifies everything, and careless words become costly when influence increases. This is why God is dealing with you privately right now. He is correcting quietly so you do not have to learn publicly. And let me say something very important. Correction is proof of closeness. God corrects those he walks closely with. Distance requires no refinement. Intimacy does. If you were not near God, you would not feel this sensitivity. You would speak freely and feel nothing. The fact that you feel conviction is evidence of connection. Chosen one, God is not frustrated with you. He is focused on you. Another reason God is correcting your speech now is because you are moving from reaction to leadership. Reaction speaks quickly. Leadership speaks intentionally. Reaction vents. Leadership aligns. Reaction explains. Leadership stands. You cannot lead and react the same way. In your earlier seasons, reaction helped you survive. You spoke to release pressure. You explained to defend yourself. You vented to cope. And God was patient with that stage. He understood it. But now survival is no longer the goal. Stewardship is. You are being trained to steward peace, to steward authority, to steward trust. And stewardship requires restraint. Chosen one, God is not silencing you. He is centering you. He is teaching you to speak from stillness, not from agitation, from assurance, not insecurity, from obedience, not impulse. This is also why God is removing your desire to be understood by everyone. You are noticing that explaining feels draining now, that oversharing leaves you unsettled, that some conversations no longer satisfy you. That is not isolation. That is transition. God is shifting you from public validation to private alignment, from needing agreement to trusting instruction, from verbal processing to spiritual listening. And here is something that may bring you relief. God does not expect you to be silent forever. He expects you to be silent until your words match your authority. There is a season for speaking and a season for restraint. Right now, you are in a season of calibration. God is tuning your language to your destiny. Chosen one, your future requires clarity. And clarity does not come from speaking more. It comes from speaking less, with purpose. This correction is also happening now because God is closing old cycles. Old patterns of speech belong to old seasons. Old language belongs to old identity. And God never moves you forward while allowing you to speak backward. You cannot enter a new season while narrating an old story. Some of you are still using language formed in pain, even though healing has already begun. You are still speaking from wounds God has already touched. You are still explaining trauma God has already addressed. God is saying, that chapter is closing. Let your language close with it. Chosen one, words shape memory, and God wants your memory healed, not rehearsed. There is also a protective reason for this correction. Certain words attract unnecessary attention. Certain explanations invite interference. Certain declarations expose what God is still forming. God is guarding you. You may not see the danger, but God does. You may not recognize the interference, but God does. Silence is sometimes the shield you do not realize you need. Chosen one, God often hides what he is about to exalt. This correction is happening now because your life is becoming more visible spiritually, even if it is not yet visible physically. And visibility requires discretion. I want you to feel peace in this. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing has gone off track. You are not being delayed. You are being refined. Refinement feels restrictive at first, but it leads to freedom. Because once language is aligned, peace increases. Confidence stabilizes. Decision-making becomes lighter. You stop second-guessing. You stop overthinking. You stop defending. God is removing noise from your life, and language is one of the loudest forms of noise. Chosen one, when God prepares you for increase, he first gives you stillness. Stillness in thought, stillness in speech, stillness in reaction. And from that stillness, authority rises naturally. This is why you may feel less talkative lately, less reactive, less eager to respond. That is not withdrawal. That is maturity forming. God is shaping you into someone whose words carry weight because they are rare, intentional, and aligned. And now that you understand why God is correcting your speech at this exact moment, you are ready for the next step. Because God never removes without replacing. He never restricts without empowering. In the next section, I will show you what to say instead. Not specific phrases, but a posture of speech that protects your calling, preserves your peace, and strengthens your authority. Stay with me. What comes next will give you clarity without pressure and confidence without noise. What to say instead. Speech that protects your calling. Chosen one. Now we come to the part your spirit has been waiting for. God never tells you what to stop without showing you what to step into. He never removes a pattern without offering a better one. Silence is not the destination. Alignment is. And alignment has its own language. What God is teaching you is not a list of replacement phrases. It is a posture of speech. A way of speaking that protects your calling, preserves your peace, and keeps your authority intact without strain. The first thing God invites you into is measured speech. Speaking only what needs to be spoken. Not everything you feel. Not every thought that passes through your mind. Chosen ones often mistake emotional release for honesty. But God teaches you that restraint is not suppression, it is wisdom. You do not need to narrate your process while God is still forming it. Measured speech means you respond instead of react. You pause instead of explain. You allow silence to do the work words once tried to do. And in that pause, peace returns. Clarity sharpens. Strength stabilizes. Another shift God makes is teaching you to speak from trust instead of urgency. Urgency rushes language. Trust slows it down. Urgency explains. Trust rests. Urgency tries to convince. Trust allows God to confirm. When you trust God, you stop needing to announce what He is doing. You move quietly. You decide calmly. You stand without commentary. And this quiet confidence speaks louder than words ever could. Chosen one, trust speaks through consistency, not explanation. God also trains you to speak alignment instead of emotion. This does not mean you deny how you feel. It means you do not allow feelings to lead your declarations. Emotions are signals, not commanders. They inform you. They do not govern you. Aligned speech acknowledges reality without surrendering authority. You can admit something is difficult without declaring defeat. You can recognize pressure without confessing collapse. You can say you are learning without saying you are failing. This kind of speech stabilizes your inner world. Your mind feels safer. Your body relaxes. Your spirit remains anchored. God designed alignment to feel peaceful, not tense. Another powerful shift is learning to speak less about what is missing and more about what is present. Chosen ones often focus on what has not arrived yet, what is still forming, what feels delayed. And while awareness is not wrong, constant focus on lack drains faith. God teaches you to acknowledge provision even while waiting, to recognize growth even while incomplete, to speak gratitude without pretending everything is finished. Gratitude does not rush God, but it removes resistance. When your language carries appreciation, your spirit stays open, hope remains active, and expectation stays clean, not desperate. God also invites you to speak obedience instead of defense. You no longer explain why you chose what you chose. You simply live it. You no longer justify your boundaries. You enforce them quietly. You no longer seek approval for decisions God already confirmed. This kind of speech is firm without aggression, calm without weakness, clear without hostility. Chosen one, obedience does not argue. It stands. Another essential shift is learning to let God speak where you once felt pressured to speak. There are conversations you no longer need to enter, arguments you no longer need to win, clarifications you no longer need to offer. When you stop filling silence, God fills it with results. This does not make you passive. It makes you strategic. It teaches you that timing matters more than volume, that restraint often communicates more authority than explanation. God also trains you to speak identity instead of insecurity, not loudly, not arrogantly, but quietly and consistently. You stop downplaying who you are. You stop shrinking what God entrusted to you. You stop apologizing for growth. You no longer announce identity. You live it. And here is something many chosen ones find freeing. God allows you to say, "I trust God," without explaining how. He allows you to say, "I am at peace," without defending why. He allows you to say, "This is my decision," without providing justification. These are not statements of pride. They are statements of alignment. God also encourages you to speak rest into your life, not exhaustion. Instead of constantly declaring how tired you are, you give your body permission to rest without narration. You receive renewal quietly. You allow God to sustain you without announcing weakness. Rest does not come from talking about fatigue. It comes from trusting God to carry what you release. Another important shift is learning to speak hope without timelines. You stop declaring when things should happen. You stop predicting outcomes. You stop attaching deadlines to promises God did not date. You trust God's pace without rushing it through language. Hope without pressure is powerful. It keeps your spirit light. It keeps expectation healthy. It allows joy to exist even before fulfillment. Chosen one, your words should feel like safe ground for your spirit. When you speak, peace should follow. When you speak, clarity should increase. When you speak, strength should return. If your words leave you anxious, defensive, or drained, they are not aligned. God's language is steady. It does not panic. It does not rush. It does not explain itself endlessly. It rests in authority. And I want you to hear this clearly. You are not becoming quiet because you are losing confidence. You are becoming quiet because you are gaining authority. Authority does not need volume. It needs alignment. As you begin to speak this way, you will notice changes. Conversations shift. People respond differently. Some may misunderstand you. Some may feel uncomfortable. But peace will increase. Discernment will sharpen. Decisions will feel lighter. God is teaching you to speak from a place that does not need reinforcement. Chosen one, your calling does not need constant verbal protection. God is guarding it. Your responsibility is alignment. Your responsibility is obedience. Your responsibility is restraint when restraint is required. Now you know what to release, you know what to guard, and you know what to step into. In the final section, I will bring this together gently. I will remind you why this instruction is love, not fear, protection, not punishment. And I will help you seal this alignment so you leave this message calm, confident, and at peace. Stay with me. We are about to close this with clarity and assurance. Conclusion. Final warning, comfort, and alignment. Chosen one, take a slow breath and let this settle gently in your spirit. What you have heard today was never meant to burden you. It was meant to protect you. God's instruction about your words is not restriction. It is refinement. It is love expressed through wisdom. God is not watching your mouth to punish you. He is guarding your future. He knows where you are going. He knows what He is preparing to release. And He knows that careless language would make the journey heavier than it needs to be. That is why this message reached you now, not earlier, not later, right on time. You are not losing your voice. You are learning to use it with authority. The peace you feel when you hold your tongue, the clarity you feel when you stop explaining, the strength you feel when you stop speaking against yourself. Those are signs of alignment. Remember this, chosen one. God's warnings are never threats. They are invitations to safety. When God tells you what not to say, He is telling you what He is protecting you from. And when He teaches you how to speak, He is preparing you for where you are going next. Walk forward calmly. Speak intentionally. Trust deeply. You do not need to rush. You do not need to convince. God is handling what you no longer have to explain. Before you leave, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss what God releases next, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this protection. And comment 777 in the comments to seal your alignment, your obedience, and your readiness to walk carefully with God. Go in peace. Your words are becoming powerful because your spirit is aligned.